What's up, you guys? It's Warren with Scale Audio, and today we're going to talk about parallel compression. Parallel compression is literally taking a strongly compressed file and running it parallel to whatever instrument that you're actually using. So, for example, if this was my vocal, I would do heavy compression on another chain or another auxiliary channel of that same vocal, and I would have it over here on this side and start turning the volume up to support this one for whatever we're trying to do. So let's check out when and how we would use some parallel compression, and I'll just show you what I know. So we've got our main vocal here, and I'm going to do 3 sets of parallel compression. Just for example, though, you don't need to have 3 sets of parallel compression when you're doing it. You might have different purposes for the parallel compression, so I'm going to kind of show you some things that I do. So let's say that we need some more body. Okay, we got this signal coming in and it's just over the top. It's thin. Let's make it just like super thin. Okay, we'll go to about 300 to 500 right there. Over the top, like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top, like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so right? And we want to add more body to that, okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to open up a compressor. I personally like the color of the VC76 from Native Instruments, and I'm going to slam this thing. So I'm going to mute this just so I can kind of hear and see what's going on here. And everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top, like, and we want a quick attack and release because we want to squash this. This is just going to fill, okay? The point of this, of a parallel compressed item, is generally to kind of just fill the space. You can bring the attacks back, and what that'll do is that'll give you more transients and punch. Maybe if you wanted, some punchier drums, you'll do that. But for this right now, just adding body, I don't quite want to do that. We're just doing a vocal demonstration at the moment. So over the top, like lamination, exaggerate. So I've got a super compressed file, and I'll probably just tame the high end with high shelf. Over the top, like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fast. Over the top, like lamination. It's a little bit muddy, which is fine though, because we want to add some body back. So over the top, like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top, like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. And it's a little bit off balance, but you can play with it. I mean, or you can just over the top, like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. With the EQ off, you're adding the same amount of frequencies across the spectrum, but you're bringing up the averages. And even that alone can just give you a fuller sound, more body. Me personally, I generally like to kind of EQ to taste and play with it. Over the top, like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top, like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top, like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. And this might not be something that is going to be perfect, but it'll help get you along. And it's just a useful tool for specific situations. So now, for example, if we go to widening, something that I'll do, let's copy this VC76 over. Cool, so we got the same settings. I will go to the waves doubler. Okay, bring the center out of the way. And this is something that I'll actually do on rock songs. If I move this down and we add some distortion, let's bring our body back into our sound. And because I'm widening, what I'll do as well is I'll get an EQ, and you don't want to widen the lows so much. There's not as much room in the low end for a stereo field. Over the top, like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top, like lamination, exaggerate. And I can play with my stereo field here. Make this tighter, because it doesn't need to be that wide. Over the top, like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top, like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top, like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Okay, over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and
Without?
everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's
Add
so
a little bit of body.
fascinating. Over the top.
Why not? So we got a wider vocal, we got more body. Next thing we're gonna do, let's say we're just missing a bunch of high end.
Over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying.
Got a really dull sounding mix, right? So something we can do is EQ in.
Over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and over the top like lamination.
Some high end. I'm not even listening to it, so we don't know exactly how this is going to sound, but that's fine. And usually what I'll do when I'm doing something like this is I'll add some saturation. And the reason is because you're trying to build in some more harmonics and just some more feeling. If there's no high end there, you can't produce high end that's not there, okay? But and the same for the low end. But what you can do is you can add harmonics to the little bit that is there. You don't want to go too far, but those harmonics will help just make it a little bit more audible and somewhat just pleasing when you're hearing it. And, this is something you don't want to overdo or do too much of. You can get a really harsh mix if you're adding high end and doing this. It's very easy to do so. And when you're doing it, just in general, you can't polish a turd and make it gold. But what we can do is we can make something a little bit better when we're working with what we have.
Over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating. Over the top like lamination, exaggerate, and everything I'm saying, it's so fascinating.
So we've brought in a little bit of high end. If we start adding it back, it's not going to be perfect. But this is just something on top of EQ and other things you might do that might help you get to where you need to go. Now let's look at some parallel compression on some drums. Say we got a drum recording, we want it to fill and just be stronger. Okay, so we've got our parallel compress signal over here, and we just added in. This one, we didn't do anything fancy. It's just being run under the compressor. Okay, without. Right? With. So, without. With. Without. With. You notice we come in and it's a little bit more full. So now something else we can do, let's say we've got where is Schmack Attack? Let's say we want our drums to actually snap more. So that's our drums. What we're gonna do is we'll do this parallel compression, and you won't crush it as hard as you do other ones all the time. You can see this isn't crushing too hard. The last drum one was crushing just as hard as this. What we're going to do though is we're just going to pull this attack back. And what this does is this is going to allow some signal through without being compressed before the compressor engages. The slower the attack is, which is actually a smaller number on this compressor, interestingly enough, the slower, it engages, and the more comes through, or the better transient, or the more snap the drums are going to have. So listen to it by itself.
More snap. Less. More. Right? So, if I pull this back, I'm actually going to run it a little bit harder. Okay, because I really just want those snaps. Perfect. Then we'll add it back. Okay, without, with. And so when you're doing parallel compression, you can use it for so many different creative things, and you can use it so many different ways. And these are just a few of the examples of how you can use parallel compression. This is Warren with Scale Audio. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like. If you have any comments, please comment. Subscribe is always awesome. I hope this helps. This is Warren with Scale Audio, and adios.